welcome back. We are going into the second part of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation Telethon. I am Sabine, joined by my wonderful co-hosts, Joan McCusker and Daryl Davis. Thank you so much for being here. I know, Joan, you were tuned in. You were tuned in to curling this afternoon.
That's right.
I think it's time now. I can't talk about curling because I feel like I can barely do any of it. So what is it looking like?
Well, it's still early times, of course, but Northern Ontario is the host teams, like Crystal McCarville, and she came into this last draw 2-0, but lost her game to Emma Miskew, who's skipping for Rachel Holman. So got their first loss, the first little bump in the road, and that'll be a one they might want to look back on and think that they might have picked up for a minute or two. The other surprise, the rolling along, as I mentioned earlier, is New Brunswick. Andrea Crawford is rolling along here at 3-0, and so nobody saw that coming. She's playing very well. The ice looks very tricky. It looks hard to make shots early, and so lots of upsets, I think, still in the making today. So Team Canada, I think, is the team to continue to watch. And of course, I always watch Saskatchewan and cheer hard for them.
Of course. Daryl?
Sabine, I have to admit, like you, I'm a very good curling watcher. Right?
That's all we can do.
Yeah, for the Regina Leader Post, I covered curling for a while. I learned what they told me, mostly with the Schmirler rink. Joan and Jan and Marcy taught me. I learned it. One thing I always have to say is that following them around, as I did as a newspaper writer, we would have media bonspiels at a lot of these events,
right.
and we would go out and we were supposed to be drafted, and I would always be, because I'm the Canadian, I'm the first round draft pick, right? And I'm saying, no,
That's the last thing you
don't
want.
pick me, no, yeah, you can play third on our team. No, I'm not going to. I can sweep a little bit, but throwing a rock, I don't know, an in-turn from an out-turn, I'm left-handed, it messes things up.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm good at watching and maybe assessing, but John, if you missed a shot, I could just say, well, missed a shot. That's all I know. That's not what you were calling for, right?
We do know that. We actually were requested to play a game, the media against a game, and against the media, and we threw left-handed, and still beat you. And we're not left-handed.
I know. Yeah. Well, we had Warren Woods on our team for a while, rest his soul, but Woodsy could curl a little bit, so we at least had one guy who could hit a broom on occasion.
I mean, it's nice that you even threw left just
to make it an even playing field. So, but no, yeah, it was hilarious.
And I know them well enough to know that they would gloat.
Oh,
That's so true.
Well, I don't know if we are going to a total just yet, but things are looking good. Before we talk about the total, though, I do want to, Daryl, you got a chance to answer some phones.
Yes, I sneaked in. Bernadette was showing me Bernadette McIntyre, the chair of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation, was showing me how to answer them, and I couldn't figure out all of the nuances and switches. Push this button, but all of a sudden the phone rang, and Bernadette said, "Oh, here's a good chance." So we turned it in, and she was watching over my shoulder, and a nice man from Stony Plain, Alberta, donated $450 while I was on there. So,
nice.
Yeah, so I said, "Oh, wow, that's got to be the highest donation of the day." It's not even close, apparently.
You were quickly corrected on that. Yeah.
Anita Ford, right away, $1,000. Apparently, Anita always gets the biggest donations from what I've heard.
Just wherever she sits down.
We're trying to figure out, there's got to be something behind there. She's either got family calling in when they know she's going to answer, whatever the case may be. Either way, we are very grateful for all who are calling in, for all who are donating, whether it is online at sandraschmirler.org or calling the number on your screen at 1-866-210-6011. We are going to go to a new total. And I think it's looking pretty good. So if we can get that pulled up on the screen, just before we left this morning, or just this afternoon, we were at about 215,000. We are now sitting at, $354,753. That is amazing. Our goal, as we mentioned earlier, is $750,000. So we're close to halfway there.
That's exciting.
more than halfway from last year. Last year's total was $700,000 and just a little bit more than that. So we're more than halfway already and on our way to maybe 750. That would be pretty interesting.
I mean, we don't want to cap it at 750.
No, and I think one of the things I want to say is that there is always an email drive that goes out, and there are donations collected just before we get started. So don't think that your donation doesn't count.
Right.
We really actually need to push now through the rest of the day and through the evening to get to our goal. And just think about how much good work we could do for those sick babies.
And we are going to hear more of those stories in the next couple of hours. We're also going to be talking with Bernadette McIntyre from the board as well. So we're going to be chatting a lot. We're going to be talking about some great memories, memorable moments. Daryl and Joan are going to be discussing that in a little bit. I do want to point out, before I forget, we were saying Joan and Daryl both answering phones. We also have heard that Team Gushu will be answering phones today from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, which works out to be 7 to 8 Saskatchewan. I just say Saskatchewan time. We are on time zone.
It's true.
So 7 to 8, Team Gushu will be answering phones. But don't let that limit you. If you want to call in, if you can't call between 7 and 8, you're going to get someone wonderful answering the phone. Or again, you can donate online, whatever works for you.
I think I might phone in, talk to Team Gushu. I have questions. They're getting ready to go to the Olympics.
Well, if you're going to call in, you also have to donate.
That's true.
All over and over again, no matter how many times that you call in.
That's right.
I think we're going to go to a video next, I believe.
That's right. I think, is this the Anne Merklinger?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so I love talking about Anne Merklinger because, she was a two-time Scotties finalist. That means she's lost the Canadian final twice. She was one of our big competitors, played against our team a lot, and the curling community is very small. It's like a little town, and everybody gets to know everyone. Now, Anne was a communicator, a connector, a person that touched base with everyone, and she actually became kind of a voice of women's curling in the 90s to represent our interests. Right now, she's the CEO of Own the Podium, which is a fantastic organization putting resources behind athletes to get more medals for Canada. But back in the 90s, Anne was Director General of Canoe Kayak, and she started the push to honor Sandra. When Sandra got sick with cancer, in 1999, Anne and her teammates designed a pin, the first ever pin, the circle with the 4 hands that became the brand of the Schmirler Foundation. And eventually, she was on that first board of directors and was the very first president of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation. So let's hear what Anne has to say.
When Sandra was still alive, I was chairing the women's curling tour, and I remember sitting around a dinner table with my teammates, and we sketched out a pin that we wanted to design and get manufactured that all of the women's curlers in the country could wear when they competed in a bonspiel, so spiels that were part of the women's curling tour. And it was really a desire to channel all of our collective positive energy and spirit and positive thoughts into helping Sandra recover from her illness. So, I mean, as you look back on those days, leading up to 2000, you can see many of our fellow curlers wearing these very distinctive, what were then the Sandra Schmirler curling pins and the foundation pins. And of course, after Sandra died, that pin became the first pin of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation. So it was, it was a very important moment for us as curlers to collectively harness her spirit and carry on her legacy. After Sandra died, it was Robin Wilson who came up with the idea of the foundation, and Robin approached the family, and they were very supportive. And through Robin's tremendous efforts, she got the Canadian Curling Association on side, now Curling Canada, and together with Robin's leadership, the foundation was created. And importantly, Bob Stewart, who was the CEO of Scott Paper at the time and was a tremendous champion of women's curling, He also, on behalf of the business, on behalf of the company, provided financial support and tremendous energy and enthusiasm to help get the foundation up and running. I was very privileged to be the founding chair of the foundation, very honored to do that, and served as the chair of the foundation from 2001 through till 2004. Sandra and her team, frankly, were like a well-oiled machine. They never quit. No battle was ever in what I call the too hard pile. They had fun competing in a sport, and you could feel their passion on and off the ice. They were tremendous friends, and you could see that in wherever they went, whether it was on the ice or off the ice. They also took tremendous responsibility for their role, for their position as role models for young girls and women involved in sport, and they took that responsibility very seriously. And Marcia and Jan and Joan still take that responsibility very seriously, as do Sandra's family. So, again, I think that's part of Sandra's legacy. And Sandra and her team also had such a high level of respect and appreciation for their sport, for their opponents, and for everyone who made the sport happen. And that was what Sandra and her teammates brought to the sport at that time. Continue donating. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, we've seen record levels of contribution to charities, people who are in a position to give back and help those that are less fortunate, people who are in a position to support their causes. And the foundation continues to change the lives of families across our country from coast to coast to coast. And the foundation does an extremely good job of telling the stories of the impacts of financial support from the foundation. I certainly encourage supporters to share the foundation's message on social media. Tell your friends, tell your families, tell your neighbors, get the word out there. Social media is one of the most effective means of communicating, as we've seen in so many instances. And then finally, consider the foundation in your plans related to legacy giving. That is very much on the minds of many of us during these challenging times. And I think that's another way to honor Sandra, her family, and the foundation.
You can see why Anne Merklinger, rose to the kind of success that she has had. Is she just so very well spoken on behalf of the foundation in that particular situation? And we have been very, very fortunate over the years to have the support of competitive curlers. Not only Anne, there's two on the board right now with Lisa Weigel and Kathy Overton Clapham, and we have had a long list of competitive curlers that have done fundraising for the Schmirler Foundation, either through golf tournaments, through donations through the curling calendar, and we thank them all. I'm not going to list them all right now, but thank you to all those competitive curlers that stepped up with the friendship with Sandra to do the right thing and raise money for this great cause.
Well, thank you so much for your amazing words, and of course, Anne sharing her message with us this afternoon. I want to switch gears a little. Social media, love it or hate it, it has allowed us to have an amazing reach, especially when it comes to this telethon. We've seen some amazing stories come through social engagement, and of course, donations that are continuing to come through. And we're going to check in now with Darren McEwen, who's a digital media manager, I believe, to share some messages with us. Hi, Darren. We're doing all right. How are you doing? Oh. Sure.
Instagram. She shared with us the story of her family's NICU stay. It was 72 days. Back in December 2008, over the holidays, they were living in Peterborough, Ontario. They had to travel to Kingston to have their son, and then he was transported back to Peterborough, then back to Kingston, finally on to Sick Kids in Toronto. Courtney wanted to point out that every time he got better, he was transferred to a less intensive space, but only to have another critically ill baby move in to their son's bed after. And it just showed them how vital the equipment is for so many of these families. He was born 9 weeks early. He is currently a happy, healthy 13-year-old. And as Courtney shared with us, you can see it on our Instagram story, a beautiful photo of him with Russ and Cheryl from the Briar in Kingston. We've also heard from the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba. We've been able to give them a lot of support over the years. They've actually given a tour of their NICU recently with us, and they wanted to say huge bear hugs and big thanks to the Sandra Schmirler Foundation and supporters for continuing to help babies in NICUs across Canada and their families. We wish you all the best in the amazing fundraiser. Christine Strand shared with us on Facebook that 2 of her grandkids were preemies, and she wanted to thank the foundation and all our donors. We've had lots of curling teams share their support with us on their social channels. Chelsea Carey, Laura Walker, Team Holman, so many others, including teams not at this year's Scotties, like members of Team Jennifer Jones. We had Caitlin and Dawn answering phones earlier. And as you mentioned just a few minutes ago, coming up later tonight, when you call in, you might just speak to a member of Team Gushu, if Joan isn't already speaking to them. We really want to hear who has inspired you to donate. Write in the comments on this Facebook Live, over on our Instagram, let us know, on Twitter, even LinkedIn. Was it a grandchild? Was it a child? Maybe it was a story. And Joan will know curling umpire and former foundation board member Diane Barker. She has a challenge for all grandparents and parents out there to consider donating. Diane actually made a very generous donation again this year for every one of her grandchildren. And speaking of grandchildren, Sabine, I have to end with this. I had to send this message to Sandra's daughters, Sarah and Jenna, today, as they're with their grandma today. You chatted with them earlier this morning. This came to us from Chris Rougier in Ottawa. He tweeted, "So I just got the best call ever. Sandra Schmirler's mother just called me to thank me for my donation today.
Aww.
It was by far the sweetest call I've ever gotten from any charity. Thanks, Sandra Schmirler Foundation. Everyone else, please donate today for Sandra Schmirler Day." So I had to pass that along to Shirley through Sarah and Jenna, and they said, this just made Grandma cry.
Aw.
So continue to keep those messages coming in and continue to keep those donations coming in. I'll go back to the studio. Sabine, Joan, Daryl, you're doing an amazing job. Keep it up.
Thank you so much, Darren. And of course, if you are just tuning in, just to recap, of course, Darren is handling all the social media when it comes to the Sandra Schmirler Foundation, especially today. We're going to keep you busy. Again, the hashtags Champions Start Small, and just the stories coming out, hearing, people getting thank you calls from Shirley, making Grandma cry, and hearing those stories. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Darren.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Sabine. And as we talk about, there's so many ways social media to get involved, to donate. We've talked about the phone number, which I think I have memorized finally, 1-866-210-6011. Call in that way. You can check out the sandraschmirler.org website and donate that way. But there are also legacy gifts, legacy giving. And that's what we're going to get to. Nick Locke, the vice chair of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation, is going to tell us a little bit about the amazing impact of legacy gift giving.
There you go.
Hi, my name's Nick Locke, and I'm honored to have recently joined the board of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation. As I'm sure you know, Sandra was a Canadian curler who captured 3 Canadian curling championships and 3 World Curling Championships. And she led her Canadian team to a gold medal at the 1998 Winter Olympics. The first year women's curling was a medal sport. A mother of 2, Sandra sadly passed away in 2000 at the age of 36, with her daughters Jenna and Sarah just 8 months and 2 years old. But Sandra has left a legacy with a much further reach than curling. The Sandra Schmirler Foundation was founded in her memory to create a future where every hospital neonatal intensive care unit has the necessary life-saving equipment to handle any emergency and save the lives of babies born premature and critically ill. And due to Sandra's legacy, all babies born too soon, too small, or too sick will be cared for in a hospital equipped with life-saving equipment and closer to their homes, their family, and their friends. And let's be honest, if it wasn't due to the support of individuals like you, we would not have been able to give over $4.9 million to fund this life-saving equipment in hospitals across Canada. Since I've been involved with the foundation, I've made numerous donations and have also chosen to become a monthly donor as well. But if there's one word that resonates with me when I think of Sandra, it's her legacy and the support of donors who have chosen to match Sandra's legacy through making a gift to the foundation in their will. So when you make a gift in your will to the Sandra Schmirler Foundation, you are truly creating a legacy of hope and health for young babies and their families in the future. Legacy gifts, large or small, are a wonderful way to support a cause you care about and to make a lasting difference, just as Sandra has. So that's why we've put together more information as to how you can do this in a brochure called You're in My Heart Forever. On our website, you can view and download it and also request a printed version, which we will be very pleased to send to you. Already we have had over 100 requests from donors for this brochure because they are considering a gift in their will. And we hope you would consider such a gift too. Thank you for donating and supporting the Sandra Schmirler Foundation. Your support helps babies grow up and become champions, just like Sandra. Thank you.
All right, well, we've been talking, and I mentioned earlier that we would be hearing some stories from parents who have had their little ones in NICU, and we have the cutest guest and his parents joining us in studio, Holly, Lee, Sweet Dane. Hi.
Say hi.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
It's your time to shine, honey. Now's your time. No, you've been shining for quite a while, and we are so happy to have you guys all in studio to share your story with us. Holly, let's get right into it. 6 months, Dane's 6 months old, right?
Yes, adjusted, yeah.
And so what is your story when it comes to the NICU and Dane?
Oh, goodness, where do we start? I guess basically a year ago in January last year, we went in for an ultrasound, and we found out that he had a rare condition called gastroschisis. And of course, I'm like, what the heck is that? I have no idea what that is. And I guess there was lots of Googling and researching and talking to people about it. And then we knew he would be premature, just not sure how early, like the max they will let you carry a baby with gastroschisis in Saskatchewan, or our doctor was 37 weeks. And so we kind of figured would be in and around 37 weeks, but he surprised us at 33 weeks. He's pretty excited to come. So not only did we have the gastroschisis diagnosis, we also were dealing with him being premature. So we came via C-section. We tried our best to keep you in, buddy, but you wanted to come. So he came weighing 4 pounds, 9 ounces, and which is a pretty good size considering there's a lot smaller babies in there, but he definitely had a big mountain to climb with the gastroschisis condition. So gastroschisis is when, yeah, I know, is when the organs, so his intestines, his bowels, and his appendix were all on the outside when he was born. So they put it into a silo, and then they just cinch it down every day, and then he went in for surgery about, I think it was 4 days after.
4 days in, yeah.
To close him up, and then after that it was working on his feet, right? So once they put it in, there's always the risk that it could just not work once they're in there because they've been exposed, they've been in amniotic fluid and stuff like that. So there's the risk of them being inside and then not working and then having to open them up and take out sections of the bowels. And yeah, so we were best case scenario, luckily. We were very, 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 very lucky. And the feeds went really well, but I do know that there are lots of families out there that they're not so lucky. And it's a longer road than ours. We were in there for 35 days. He did really, really amazing, and he's doing well now. So.
Well, we are, like I said, we are so happy that Dane is here joining us in studio. I wish we could just have a conversation with Dane. Just to,
I think you have lots to say.
Lee, we've heard about, Holly mentioned it was, an uphill battle to climb. Talk about your experience in the NICU. What was it like, the equipment that Dane had to, be dealt with?
I think that there's a lot of negative like connotation around the NICU, and people are scared of it. Naturally, your goal is to not be in the NICU, so a lot of people have this kind of like fear or dark cloud over the NICU, but I think the reality is when you get in there, it's actually a very peaceful place. There's a lot of support. There's 30 plus other families that are going through the exact same thing you're going through. And so once you get over that hump of, I'm in the NICU, you realize that my baby's in a very safe place, and he or she is being taken care of by the best people that you could possibly have in our city. And so you quickly get over that. Not to mention that there is an absolute massive team behind it. There's respiratory therapists, there's nutritionists, there's doctors, there's nurses, there's everybody. So it's a very safe place. And then you go into the equipment side of it and you realize that every piece of equipment matters.
I'm going to get you to talk
a little more. So every piece of equipment matters when it comes to making sure that babies like Dane live. And so, when he was born, he went right into a $30,000 plus machine immediately, and that kept him alive and in a secure environment and a warm environment so that everything would work as if he was still in the womb. And things like that matter tremendously for his safety and for his life. So.
Yeah. And I mean, for both of you, not knowing, first of all, unsure of what Dane was going to be having to deal with, or, also being premature, what, from what you even said, having that negative thought, or people have this negative connotation of what NICU is. When you entered, Holly, what was the feeling of knowing that Dane was going to be taken care of because of NICU?
Just like very grateful. Still, it's a very like humbling place, I would say. Like, it's like you just put your hands up and pray and hope that the people there and the equipment can save them. And
And it did.
And it did.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Dane today. What's Dane like?
He's great.
He's teething, if you can't tell. He's teething. He loves to talk. He's eating solid foods. Broccoli last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's quite a charmer, I would say.
Very smiley baby.
Yeah,
very
he's
happy.
very happy. Very happy guy.
So the only time he's ever fussy is if he needs to have a nap or if he's hungry. So it's been great.
Yeah, we're very lucky that way too.
So with your connection with NICU, people, what would your message be for people who are maybe having to deal with someone, having their child in NICU right now? We heard it was 35 days for Dane.
Yeah.
And, we hear parents 70, 80 days with a child in NICU, or are just learning that they may have to have their little one in NICU. What kind of message do you have for those parents?
I would just say, like, one foot in front of the other, like one day at a time. And then, like, Lee and I were talking about just like leaning in and like leaning on the nurses there. Like, they care so much and they are such amazing people. And we actually became friends with like a few of them. It's nice to just like stay in touch with them, and like they care about him like just as much as we do. I mean, obviously they don't love him quite like we do, but they genuinely really do care, and they care about your mental health, and they care about your family. And so it's like, I do feel like getting to know your nurses and really making connections with them is really helpful. And then also other families, like there's 2 other families that we're really, really close with that were there at the same time, and it's nice to, even now, like there's a lot of trauma around NICU, and it's very, it's a beautiful place, but it is also a very emotional place. So it's nice to be able to, he likes hair as well, to talk to people who have gone through it, like during and then after as well. Like I know it's a hard time to, maybe you want to just be alone and with your family, but also maybe if you are, just try to like lean on other people. Okay?
Yeah. There's a lot of professionals there that know a lot, but they also are human and they care and they're there for you. And a lot of the times it's not just, hey, what's blood pressure, what's oxygen levels, what's nutrition today. It's like, how are you doing? And like there was a lot of hugs and tears and happiness, and it's a really beautiful place, and the people inside of it make it that way.
So I'm just this is my last question, and I'll let Dane's got a busy day, I feel like. He's got things to go.
He's also got
places
things
to go.
to say. Like, wow, buddy.
for people that are watching or listening at home, talking about your experience, can you share a little bit about, it's obviously a tough journey from beginning to even now continuing this journey. What are the positive outcomes from starting in NICU and where you are today?
Without getting emotional,
Yeah.
it's there for a reason. And not every family has to use it, but it's like you don't know it's there until you need it. And we were one of the families that needed it, and we're super fortunate that there's a bunch of charities out there that raise so much money for the NICU, and obviously it's across Canada, but it's tremendous how great our NICU system is in Saskatchewan.
You're getting me emotional. Okay.
And it allows the people inside of it to stay. I mean, if we didn't have such a great NICU, some of these doctors and nurses wouldn't be in here. They would be in Toronto, or they would be in Calgary or Edmonton or wherever. And, because of days like today, we allow those beautiful people that care so much about our little guy to stay and work and care for our little one. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Holly, did you want to add anything?
I think that, obviously nobody wishes to have their child go through what we did, but I do also think that it has made, he's almost gagged himself. It has made our family unit, very strong. I feel like it really brought us closer together, I think, than we ever could imagine, Lee and I, and obviously this little guy. So, you don't wish for that, but looking back, it's his story, and it's beautiful, and it's our story, and yeah.
Well, again, I'm so grateful for you guys to be able to make it in studio to share your story, and I'm so glad Dane could come in. Now we're all going to collect ourselves. Yeah. I'm going to share a video, and then coming up right after this video, Joan, Daryl are going to share some memorable moments of the Schmerler team.
Sandra was tough to compete against, and it was always a great game against Sandra. A fierce competitor and a perfectionist, someone who was passionate about the game, someone that was a team player but also a team leader.
Totally focused. There's absolutely nothing going through her mind other than the weight she needs to throw and the target she needs to hit and what she needs to do to execute the shot.
Calm, yet very excitable inside. She was never afraid, always willing to take that extra step and spoke her mind. She never hid from anything, and she was a confident person.
She was very grounded in what she did, and I think that's what drew people to her. She came across as a girl from Saskatchewan that just loved the sport of curling and loved her teammates and loved the life that she was leading.
Because we came from the east, we used to say, those Saskatchewan girls, they must eat nails for breakfast and spit them at us. And I just think it was just the discipline they had.
There is no one who was as fierce and determined and driven to be the best than Sandra.
Sandra had a look in her eyes, and that star power was what she played her best for. And a champion has that look, and Sandra had all of that. Even though she was tough and ferocious as a competitor on the ice, she was very humble off the ice. She was very supportive of her teammates and her fellow competitors.
Off the ice, though, it was really clear that Sandra and her teammates, had a special connection. They were really tight. They had fun together. They really enjoyed each other's company. They were all in a special moment in time, the best team in Canada and the best team in the world.
Sandra's team had a huge goal, and that was to win the gold medal. It wasn't just to be an Olympian, to represent Canada. It was that gold, and being the first to win a gold medal just put that team right over the top.
After their win in Nagano, their gold medal win, Sandra was celebrating with her team and came over to me later and gave me a big hug and said, "We did it, Coach." And that just spoke to me of her sense of team and inclusion. Sandra loved her family. She was so proud to be a wife and a mom. She said that her best deliveries were giving birth to her girls.
when she had Jenna and Sarah. That was a real struggle for her to be away from Shannon and Sarah and Jenna, be in the limelight when she was just so proud to have two beautiful young daughters.
As the host of the Scotties opening banquet that year, they received a fact written by Sandra from her hospital room, and they asked me to read it. The one thing about Sandra, she never wanted anyone to feel sorry for her. And in that fact, she made it clear, I may not be doing well, but there are other things in life, and whatever the outcome, I'll be there. And when she wasn't there personally, in body, she was certainly there in spirit.
When Vic read the fact from Sandra at the closing banquet, I was very saddened.
There wasn't a dry eye in that room, and being reminded of that brings goosebumps all these years later. It was such a contradictory statement because she sounded so hopeful in the words that he read, yet the facts we knew about her condition were so serious and so contrasting in perspective. Your mind knew you had to think one thing, but your heart wanted to think something different about the situation.
I've read many things over the course of a career, but never something that touched so many people and quieted a room as that fax did. And little did we know at that moment that we would lose her 5 days later.
You know, Sandra and her words of wisdom provided perspective for all of us in terms of let's not lose sight of this is a game. We play this to have fun. Every day is a gift. Don't ever lose sight of that perspective.
Take the expression Sandra being called the Queen of Curling. That came not only from her accomplishments as an athlete, but also how she appeared as a person. People who were watching her on television or watching her in arena were drawn to her because they saw someone who had obviously worked very hard at their sport, but they also represented themselves in such a way that people were attracted to her. And I think the young people who were watching Sandra felt that I could do that. You know, she inspired other people to get out and try. And I think she inspired her fellow athletes to up their game.
It was so devastating to lose Sandra, especially in what was really the prime of her career as a curler. I don't think she was finished leaving her mark on the Canadian competitive curling landscape. But it's awfully wonderful what she did to pave the way for today's curlers. And I think she'd be really proud about the foundation she set and where competitive women's curling has become as a result of the path she charted for us.
When I look back and see Sandra's legacy live on, it's an honor to have played against her, to laugh with her, and watch her smile.
Hi, Schmerler the curler. She used to laugh that she was the only athlete whose sport was named after her, kind of, that rhymed with it, right? I don't know anybody rhyming with golf or hockey, but she always loved that. Hi, my name's Daryl Davis. I'm one of the co-hosts today of the Sandra Schmerler Foundation, the Telethon. Our guests, well, Joan McCusker is across, one of the co-hosts with us today, played with Sandra, and Jan Betker has joined us today. We're supposed to reminisce and flash back, and you guys already were when the Schmerler the Curler video came on. You were laughing at some of those outfits. What comes to mind when you start looking back at the flashbacks, Jan?
Oh my goodness, are we ever old? Because I look at those pictures and think, holy smokes, we were young back then.
And skinny.
Yeah, and didn't have gray hair.
Does it seem like a long time ago?
It does. Yes, it does. It does seem like a long time. It is a long time ago.
It's starting to be.
You know, and then when we get together, we reminisce. Then it doesn't seem quite so long ago, but yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, you two haven't stopped speaking to each other since you walked in, right? It's like old home week again. So.
That's right.
I was lucky enough to follow, and we've been joking a little bit about it. I worked for the Leader Post. I was a curling writer for a little while and followed women's curling specifically, and got to tag along with you for your 1997 run, right? I keep thanking you for the trip to Maple Creek, to Swift Current, to Vancouver, and to Bern, Switzerland. Your favorite city, wasn't it? Joan, you still tell me that it was Bern, Switzerland was a favorite city, and Marcy has told me that several times, your other teammate. Marcy Gooderite.
Yeah, it used to be the reward for Team Canada to go to this international women's spiel in Bern. And when the rest of Canada was playing off to try to get to the Scotties and you were Team Canada, you would go to that Bonspiel in Bern in January. And Jan, we made the most of those trips.
Yeah, we certainly did. I remember the one year we played on the Bonspiel circuit. We had a pretty good year. We won quite a bit of cash. We pocketed everything. And our motto was, when we go to Switzerland, we are going to spend that money. We are going to take everyone out for supper. We're going to just spare no expense. And boy, did we ever. We had a lot of fun.
And it was an expensive city, if I remember
It's an
correct.
expensive city.
Marcy Gooderite, your other teammate, still tells me that you stay in touch with one of the shuttle drivers.
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, absolutely. He was our driver 3 or 4 times, I think, Joan, right? Because we went back. So, yeah, we're still in touch with him, and I think Joan with his daughters and whatnot. So, yeah, we still have a relationship with him.
My little story, and I told Joan this one a little bit. I'm sorry to interject because it's mostly your part, but I remember asking you as the leader for the leader post to record a little daily diary of everything you did those days. And I got Anita and Atina, your coach and assistant, to do it. And you took turns, and I think I had Sandra do it last. And she said in her diary, I can't believe that Daryl is still on his feet, because I know Joan says when she sees him at the bar every night that he stays way longer than she does. And how can you keep doing that? My editor phoned me in Bern, Switzerland to say, what are you doing over there? Aren't you supposed to be working? So that's Sandra's sense. I always think of Sandra and her sense of humor bothering me.
It was always about who can we play a bit of a trick on. And even that story about our drivers, we were constantly going, what can we do to people to make them feel really uncomfortable? And we would think it would be really funny, but sometimes it got them into trouble. Sorry about that, Daryl.
It's okay. I kept my job for a while after that. I was okay. The beauty of that story, following you that year, was that was the year that Sandra found out she was pregnant. You had all, counting Marcy, Jan, and Joan, you had just become mothers recently for a second time, but you mothered her along. And it's a perfect time to talk about that. We didn't know right away when the trial started, but apparently, Jan, you were the first one to, as her roommate, to know that Sandra was pregnant.
Was I?
Yes. I heard the story today, so I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Do you remember where it was?
I don't remember, but the old joke was that our team members knew when someone was pregnant before even their spouse knew, because, you know, just different things that happened, or we'd go for a drink. No, I'm not having a beer, and whatever. You'd gag brushing your teeth, things like that. But I don't remember the exact time. But
it was the brushing teeth at Provincials in Swift Current, and Marcy had just had a baby Colin and had her own room and was here nursing this 8-week-old baby, and Jan was there beside Sandra. Sandra gagged while she was brushing her teeth, and Jan says, "You're pregnant." And Sandra started crying as usual, because she'd always cried. I don't know yet. I didn't want to take a test. Don't say anything. I haven't talked to Shannon yet. Yeah, we spent that much time together, I think, and it was okay to put family first. That was, and when you watch the curlers today, you don't find very many teams that are for young moms. There's only a couple out there, because it was a safe place for us to have children and still make the curling work, and you weren't going to lose your spot. And I think that was really important, and I think that meant a lot to a lot of the other women that watched us play.
You had taken time off. Each one of you kind of had for maternity leave, sort of, right? And come back and reassembled that team. But what a bond. Did that help? You were mothering, I presume. Is that a fair way to say it, Jan? That you kind of mothered Sandra through that as 3 mothers with another mother in kind?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure how you describe it, but we could all certainly put ourselves in her spot and could say, we've all been there. Maybe she'd be struggling with her emotions someday, or just not feeling well, or whatever. And we could, comfort her that way, because I think she had a lot of, especially around the trials,
Right.
because she had just had Sarah in September.
Yes.
So there's a lot of questions about that. But we were comfortable enough to say, you know what, your family comes first, and we'll just deal with whatever comes our way.
Did it amaze you as you guys were going along? That when I'm thinking specifically the 97 one, which is, I know you've talked about the Olympics a lot of times. The one that I know the best was 97. And I kept watching, and the crowds kept building, because Joan, you and I were talking about it earlier, that the family bonds, the motherhood really played along part of the story. Did it amaze you how the interest built in your team and each member of the team, and your success that went hand in hand?
It kind of did, because it wasn't the reason why we were curling. We weren't curling because of the fans. We were kind of curling because we just really liked to be around each other. And we were competitive. Let's just face it. If there was something to be won, we wanted to win it. And I think, like Jan was saying, probably our most challenging competition was the Olympic trials. With Sandra in having just given birth 8 weeks before those trials to a baby by cesarean section, and we just didn't know how many days she was going to make it. And to hear the crowd, cheering for us, and I know when we struggled, we made it to that final, and Sandra had a moment the morning of the final, and didn't know whether she really wanted to win or not, because she would have to leave the baby at home. Wow. And she was very emotional, and we all said, it's okay. It's okay if we lose, and it's okay if we win. And we got onto the ice, and we were struggling in that game, and we were missing shots, and we were down in that game. And I remember looking at the crowd, and I said to Marcy, wouldn't it be great if we just took a vote? And we took a vote of the crowd. The 5,000 people were there. And then they can vote to see who wins. Let's just not play this out. And the very next stand was the very famous shot that Sandra did make that kind of got us there.
We're going to show that shot a little bit later, I think, in the program today. What always impressed me, too, was the bond we talked about. But I don't know if I've seen a team that had the right people in the right places, too. Is that a fair assessment from an outsider looking in? I told them earlier, Jan, I confess, I'm a great curling watcher. I know nothing about the game other than what I see.
Yeah.
Did you have to shuffle I know you shuffled the team around a little bit before that. You were trying to find teammates.
Right.
Did they all fall into place?
Well, as luck would have it, it's pretty much luck, because we didn't know. We'd never played together as a foursome before, and so this was Sandra's first year skipping and my first year playing third, blah, blah, blah. Add Joan and Marcy, and who knew that things would gel so quickly and that everybody would be comfortable and happy in their position and that it would work. Part of that is just luck.
Yeah.
But it certainly did work for us, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's I think it was, we all bought in at the same time. We were at the same point in our lives, whether it was when we began or when we had babies and chose to continue. I think that makes a big difference.
All right. Special days today, the telethon for both of you. I know you talk about it. What type of day is this for you guys to go through?
Well, it always gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling to participate in the telethon, and especially this year, I think, let's face it, the past couple of years have been pretty challenging for everybody. There hasn't been a lot of good news out there. Yeah. So this is a good news story, and it makes me feel good. Mm-hmm.
I just felt that same feeling in answering some phones too, and being here as part of it. Same, Joan?
Oh, absolutely. It's a bittersweet day when you look at all those memories. It goes to your heart a little bit. But stories with the baby Dane.
Oh gosh, yes, watching Dane.
And knowing that the effort that we put in after Sandra died to set up the foundation and do our volunteer work and do our part to try to lift it to where it is now, it makes me feel good.
Wonderful. It's happened in 20 years. Mm-hmm. Jan Betker, nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Always nice to visit. Joan, you're going to stay. Joan McCusker, members of Sandra Schmirler's Rink. And we're continuing with the fundraiser. The phone number keeps showing up across the screen. And I'd just like to introduce next Foundation board member and two-time Olympian. Lisa Weigel is a monthly donor of the foundation. In this video, she lets us know how easy it is to join her as a monthly donor.
And I'd really like to thank you for tuning in today to the telethon on Sandra Schmirler Day and seeing some of these incredible stories and the amazing work that is done by the Sandra Schmirler Foundation. Every year, I was always really excited and really proud to make my donation to the foundation. And this year, for the first time, I've actually signed up for monthly donations. So now my donation is actually spread out across 12 months. It's super easy and convenient to set up. The money automatically comes out of your account every month, and you get a tax receipt at the end of the year. So if that's something that interests you when you're calling to make your donation or when you're going on the website, you can select that option. It's something that really helps the foundation as well in terms of having that stable source of income throughout the year. So On behalf of myself, on behalf of the entire Sandra Schmirler Foundation, I would really like to thank you for your donations and for tuning in and for helping Champions Start Small.
Even if you fail, never give up, because you eventually succeed if you keep working hard. That's something that I've kind of lived by. I've had a lot of fails in my curling career, and I've just learned how to put them aside and just keep working hard until I achieve those goals. It's definitely very challenging to juggle all that, being a wife, a mom, and being a frontline worker. It's hard, but I have so much support. I'm super lucky to be able to have my husband, my parents, my in-laws, aunties and uncles, anyone to help in any type of way for me to chase my dreams. And for me, being a frontline worker, it is also a challenge because I have to be super careful. I have 80 residents who I take care of, and I'm super lucky as well with my boss. My coworkers are always there to help me out and support me in any type of way. So I'm very lucky. I'm a rehab assistant at Bettel Home Foundation here in Gimli. And yes, I'm still currently working. And my residents are super excited to watch curling again. Oh, Chloe and Cameron love curling. I've had them on the ice since they were 3 years old, and they absolutely love it. They enjoy sweeping a lot more than just throwing. So who knows what they might be sweepers instead of a skip, but we'll see. Hopefully one day they will want to play with their mom. I might not be cool enough, but we'll see.
I grew up in Ajax my whole life. We were in the same house, on the same street, in the same city. I was raised to be polite, to respect elders, traits that I find are rare nowadays. I first met Stacy in high school, and I remember meeting her and just, wow. She couldn't really stand me at the beginning. I slowly worked up the courage to ask her on a date, and she said no. I got my courage back up, and I asked her on another date. She said no again. About the fourth or fifth time, I think I finally wore her down, and she said yes. We were dating for two and a half years, and we got married. I knew she wanted kids. I was never sure. Like, I never saw myself as a father. I never thought I was mature enough. We found out she was pregnant, so we go get an ultrasound done at 10 weeks just to make sure everything was okay. So the lady doing the ultrasound said to Stacy, "Is this your first ultrasound?" "Yeah." Is everything okay? "Oh, so you don't know you're having twins?" I was standing, and I sat down on the couch, and it just kind of washed over me. Stacy jumped up. She's crying. She's excited. The lady said, "Okay, well, let's lay down and we'll check for any more." And I said, "No, you're done. You're done checking." It was a weird feeling being in the delivery room. They cut them out for the C-section, give us a quick look, and we're whisked away to the neonatal unit. They put them right in an incubator. Cheyenne has a breathing mask on, and they've got, you know, all these cables and cords and feeding tubes hooked up to them, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to see in my life. There was a little concern with Avery because she was considerably smaller. She was 3 pounds 12 ounces. Cheyenne was 4 pounds 3 ounces, so she was a healthier weight. The nurses here told me to take off my shirt so we could do skin to skin. because it's very important for newborns, preemie babies especially, to have direct skin contact with their parents. Stacy grabbed Cheyenne, I grabbed Avery, and I just held her against my chest and felt her breathe, and she was all nice and warm, and I couldn't stop crying. It was incredible. I'd never thought that, I was gonna love them instantly. I thought it was one of those things where, I get to know them, take time, but it was just absolutely just blew me away, just changed my life completely in a matter of seconds. I can't say enough good things about Lake Ridge Health and the NICU, the neonatal ward here. Just going above and beyond, in my opinion, like how they make you feel comfortable, make you feel like it's your second home. When we were being discharged, first thing the nurses said is, "Oh, you gotta come back. You gotta come back. We can't wait to see you guys again."
Oh my gosh, hi.
When you're out with the girls and when somebody tells you how pretty they are, how beautiful they are, it makes you feel good. We might not have all the money in the world. You don't need that. You just need the love to be there.
Here we go.
But I'll leave it up to you, and I can just, because it's tough going back.
All right, welcome back. Okay, it's so fun watching you all reminisce, but I feel like there's probably other stories that cannot be shared. When you can just read
so right.
facial, expressions, and I'm like, I feel like there's more to these stories that we may never hear.
That's right. Our children are now, young adults, and we don't want them to know some of the things that we did.
Fair.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Fun factor was high.
And I mean, apparently media had a great time too.
It used to be fun following curling. It's still my favorite event to cover. I covered the Saskatchewan Roughriders for 25 years, and they're not always happy to see you. Not that the curlers are always happy to see you either, but when you go to the Scotties, when Robin Wilson ran it, and still now, there was wonderful organization. The athletes were there, accessible, honest, emotional. And if you needed to speak to organizers, they were there. It was one of the best events of all time. You could write any story that was important, and you had great athletic events. The competition was just top rate all the time, and you get to know who the people were. The only thing that I used to mess up with was I had never heard of Heather Nettowit, I thought, and then I realized, she changed her name. She got married, and I used to mess that up in the Leader Post because there would be new curlers, it seemed like, every year. And it's because if they got married and changed their names, I wouldn't always know what their new name was.
That was the only issue you had to worry about.
That was the only problem, and somebody would usually fill me in quite quickly that I had made a mistake. But it's a wonderful event to cover, and the reminiscences are fun. You got to meet the athletes and know who they were. It was an interesting. It's the way that it should be with athletes, dealing with them during their competition, and the accessibility. If only other leagues knew how to do that. And I think it's wonderful because we know when you watch the curlers on the ice, even though there's no media there now, you get to know who they are. And it's through the interviews that we've done with them face to face, person to person, and seeing them on camera and close by. And I think that's why we feel an identity, such a closeness to the athletes we're watching, we're writing about, and that's how I got to know, and so many people got to know Joan and Marcy and Jan and Sandra, because they saw them and there were stories written about who they were and what they were doing. And I think it really, we talked about a little bit in our earlier interview, and I think it really made something. It helped curling develop a high profile, and it's such a wonderful event now. Obviously the telethon is, but so is the Scotties, just to watch it and be a part of it. I always feel like I should be there, and it makes me think of Joan and her teammates all the time, every time the Scotties comes up. So.
I know we have quite a few videos to get to, but that's, as a former broadcaster, that's the thing that you enjoy the most, when you get to be able to tell those stories of people and knowing that athletes, we admire them and look up to them, but they are people, and there's human stories behind more than just what we're seeing on TV. And I think that's one of the things I love about this telethon too, because we're hearing those people stories. And I believe, Joan, you're going to throw to our next video.
Well, and I think one of the things that talks exactly what you guys were just speaking to is curlers are mic'd, and under high pressure situations, your personality comes out.
Yeah.
And what we find out, I think, as Daryl was speaking to, that there's so many of our players that have such wonderful, strong character. Mm-hmm. And Sandra was one of them, and people got to know her. the other elite curlers like Ann Merklinger and some of the other players that have got in behind this foundation. And I'd like to introduce to you Cheryl Bernard, Olympic silver medalist from 2010. She is a fellow broadcaster in the booth right now with TSN covering the Scotties. And she also does whatever she can to get behind the foundation.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Bernard, and I was asked by the Sandra Schmirler Foundation to share, I guess, a personal story about Sandra Schmirler and her team. And I will never forget it. It was 1998, and the team was on their way to represent Canada at the 1998 Olympics in Nagano. And so they were trying to get some exhibition games as they'd come to Calgary to train a little bit before they went over. So we were one of the games that were set up, and we were so excited to play them. And so we had a pretty good game to start with, but ultimately they ended up beating our team. And, you know, our team always thought that maybe we contributed a little bit to that Olympic gold medal by giving them a boost of confidence on their way over to Nagano. So I think for us, when they stood on that podium, we felt like we were part of that gold medal. And I think the bigger takeaway probably for all of us was that you realize that anything is possible, and having role models like those four individuals allowed us to dream big and believe in our Olympic pursuits, and ultimately stand on the 2010 podium in Vancouver. So that was a pretty amazing outcome for us. And the Sandra Schmirler Foundation is making it possible for so many boys and girls to have that same opportunity to realize their dreams and their opportunities, because each year thousands of Canadian babies are born prematurely or critically ill, and committed people like you and I are making all the difference in their fragile lives. You know, I think in the end, we may never know the children that our donation will help, and we may never know the families, but these children and their families will go through life with their hearts full, knowing that we were there for them when they needed help the most. Thank you.
She was more than just a curler. She was a friend to all those viewers, and that's very true with us as well. We had the chance to listen to her, and she was warm, but she had that little killer instinct. She knew when to put you away, and I've never met a champion yet that didn't have that inside them, and she certainly had it. But when she left the ice, and then she became just Sandra, the nice person, the nice mom, the nice wife.
When you reflect back on her career and what she has accomplished, and how I think the entire nation fell in love with her, the way she conducted herself. And she was always so accessible, and she was the girl next door all during her career, even when she was so successful. And I think people related to that. They developed that common bond with Sandra, and people who didn't even know her felt that they really knew her through her appearances on television, and the way she always made herself available and was so accessible for the media for interviews and that sort of thing.
So many people watched her on the ice and saw how much she wanted to win and how competitive she was and what a great team member she was. But many people didn't see the other side of Sandra, and she was such a giving person. I remember a few times when we were at the World Championships with the team, it was tough to get to the arenas. We were in Europe, and there wasn't the same kind of transportation we have in Canada. And they would always offer a ride to me. I'd be standing waiting to go to the rink. And in the van, it's still just nice chat about the family, not even thinking about the game. We're at a World Championship. But the team was just so giving, and especially Sandra was open to everybody, media, fans, and to us.
If there's inspiration to be had, it is that. And I don't think there are many people in this country that haven't been touched by cancer. I know I have, both my parents. And you wish they had the fight. She showed the fight and still lost. There are people, though, that do win, and I think it comes through the fight that she showed. The tragedy of it, of course, is this is a woman taken far too young, with 2 daughters and a husband that loved her dearly. That's the tragedy of it.
What you saw is what you got with Sandra and her teammates out there. They were just down-to-home, small-town girls, smiling, laughing all the time. You saw them doing that, but you also saw the fierce competitive side to them. Like when they're out there playing, I mean, they were there for one purpose, to win, but you know, they never lost focus that family was important to them. I think they show that all the time from some of the interviews and that they've done, and the care they had for each other. I think that's what hit home is that they were like more like friends out there than just teammates. You know, you see so many competitive teams mix and matching with their lineups. So these guys would never have done that. They just loved each other too much.
I think I'll miss her sense of humor and her smile. She had a great smile. She could make people smile just by, it just kind of lit up the room. And just her whole personality. She was just so bubbly and so alive. I think that's what I'll miss the most.
I'll remember Sandra the person, the young woman that was such a good mom, that was such a loyal friend, that was so much fun to be around, that had such a great sense of humor.
Well, I think part of the reason that she was so well liked was that what you saw on TV was what she was like away from TV, and how she was playing a game or doing an interview or doing her broadcast for CBC or whatever. That was Sandra. And I think people really fell in love with her, that she was so natural and she was so personable and she loved to have fun and she was very kind and caring, compassionate. And that's who she was.
She needs a slight roll into the rings. She's got a good-looking shot. She's got it. She's going to get the roll. Yes, she is. But it's hanging very straight. She's got it. Yes, she gets the goal. And she scores 3. What a shot! What a great shot! Has to be full 8 foot to win. Is it going to stop in time? Yes, it does! Sandra Schmerler has won it!
Don't give up. Live life to its fullest. And just keep fighting, because if you quit fighting, then you've lost the battle.
I feel like I can confidently say it never gets old watching old video of her. And you. I got it.
Somebody got old. It wasn't you.
It was the parachute pants, I think, Joan, you were talking about.
I was going to say later on we're going to have a segment just talking about fashion. We mentioned before that we do have a number of videos that we want to share with you. So we are going to get to the next one. Of course, that is Colton and Kadriana, and they are this year's Curling Cares calendar. The proceeds from their sales will come straight to the Sandra Schmerler Foundation, and they are a mixed double team from Manitoba. So have a look at this video.
Hi, I'm Colton Lott.
Hi, I'm Kadriana Sahaidik.
We're a competitive mixed doubles team based out of Manitoba.
We're a World Cup winner and a two-time Canadian mixed doubles finalist.
I am currently a full-time carpenter and business owner.
I am an optometrist assistant here in our hometown, Gimli, Manitoba.
The way we've kept ourselves on track during COVID has been tough, but with the great support from our hometown communities and sponsors, it has made it possible to train on and off the ice. To help her legacy keep growing through younger curling athletes, it's important they learn about who she was and all her accomplishments. We hope to someday bring all of that into our junior programs here in our communities.
Please help us donate by heading to their website at sandrasmerler.org or purchase a 2022 Curling Cares calendar.
We've got
Thank you
Dr.
so
Michael
much.
Narvi, Amanda Panita, and Karen Netzel, who are joining us.
Thank you very much, Kat. So I'd just like to take a moment to welcome everyone to our beautiful NICU here at HSC Winnipeg.
So this is one of our single patient rooms here in the NICU. And I'm just gonna kind of give you a bit of a walkthrough around to show you around. So we have this little entry when you walk into the door, where you will be washing your hands as parents and visitors. I'll take you over here. This is kind of our care plan, or what we call a discharge board or communication board. So the team and the family is an integral part of our team. We really promote family integrated care and family centered care. So you have everything from little cute things like my name is, my loved ones are, my birthday. And then there's also an opportunity for parents to write any questions or comments that they have to trigger them during rounds to communicate. Over here, we have a little bit more of a family area, family zone, with some privacy and some curtains. This chair kind of pulls out like a cot. So pre-COVID, both parents were allowed to stay here overnight, but with COVID, we just allow the one parent to stay overnight. This is a gorgeous zero gravity chair that we have that promotes kangaroo care or skin to skin. Another integral part of our care in NICU. We do have a fridge in each of the rooms intended for breast milk, a breast pump, and the warmer, and all of the medical equipment as well. This is hidden behind here, which is nice. So it is really, we're trying to promote a home away from home for the parents to try to make it as comfortable as possible. Moving along over here, we have this state-of-the-art baby Leo. And I think Dr. Narvi will talk about this and show you more of the features pertaining to this in a little while. Another cool thing I wanted to point out was these cameras. So in our large facility, we do have the ability to monitor the babies with this camera. And there's a live stream of the camera outside of the room so that the nurses can monitor the infants closely. And we can move it around. So if you want it specifically on the baby's face or as the baby moves and whatnot. So like I said, we'll talk about the baby Leo a little bit, but this is just the standard monitors. And this is a nice feature of having all the medical equipment kind of tucked in and hidden away so that parents really feel like they're at home when they can't actually be at home with their neonate.
As far as care goes, we see about 1,200 babies that come through this unit a year. So that's a lot of babies. When a baby is born prematurely, sometimes if a baby is born, let's say 24, sometimes 23 weeks, you can expect that they're going to stay in the hospital for about 5 to 6 months. That's a really long time. And as Amanda said, we like to think of this as a home away from home. And so I would like to just thank again the Sandra Schmerler Foundation, who I have had many interactions with, and I appreciate all of the generosity, and especially this $90,000 gift to the foundation. It means so much because it allows us to purchase a Cadillac, if you will. The baby Leo has so many features that are so important because, again, when you're going to stay this long in an environment like this, wouldn't you want to have some of these features? So I'll just go through some of the features. The babies have been developing in a very warm environment. Mothers are warm, 37 degrees. And so we want to maintain their body temperature outside the womb. And the heating system that we have in the baby Leo is a wonderful way to do that so that they don't have any stress from being cold. Now, sometimes, because we are in an intensive care unit, you need very quick access to the baby. Now, what's wonderful about this is we have these side ports here. These are very wide, allow us to enter very easily, okay? And it also allows, if you will, moms and dads that are sitting in a kangaroo chair or adjacent can reach in and touch and comfort their babies. Now, sometimes, sadly, we do have to do more aggressive care when a baby is getting really sick. And a nice feature of the baby Leo is the ability, with just a quick touch, to open it up so that the whole team, if we have a respiratory therapist, a nurse, a doctor that needs to gain quick access to the infant, we can do that. And this wonderful heater up here, I talked about temperature control. This heater allows us to keep your child warm. So these are really great advantages. Another advantage is I just lower this, and it lowers very easily, as you see, so that we can go back to the typical home that your child will have. A couple interesting features. One of the things that is so important that we have to always be mindful of is preventing infection in the newborn. And so one of the great advantages of the baby Leo is that the baby Leo has a system for humidifying the air in here to maintain warmth that really prevents bacteria from gaining entry. And that's a safety issue. The last thing that I wanted to point out, which I think really is one of the nicest features that I've seen on an incubator, and again, grateful for this gift that would allow us to get this. You can't see it, I don't think. Well, maybe you can. We're virtual, so you can come over. There is a little jack over here on the side of this bed that allows us to connect an audio device, and you can record the mom's heartbeat. You can record mom or dad telling a story in a very sound-controlled, protected level. You can play that within the isolette, or the incubator here, for your baby to hear. So while baby was developing in the womb and was hearing that mom's heartbeat, a little comfort would be hearing that mom's heartbeat after delivery. And we can now do that with the baby Leo. So we appreciate the gift once again.
I think the first thing you have to know about me is that I was one of those parents that was in the old unit. And if you can imagine how blown away I was when I saw this new unit and the new equipment that they have, it's amazing. I gave birth at Women's Hospital, had to go a quarter mile through the tunnels to get to see my baby. And now it's all in one place, which is absolutely incredible from a parent perspective, knowing what it was like before. So a little bit about my story. I was 25 weeks pregnant and woke up one day and knew something was definitely wrong, and came into the hospital. And by the time I got here, I was in full labor and they had to deliver my son. And he was 25 weeks and 809 grams. So, I think as a parent, you're at the happiest point of your life, and suddenly your world is just rocked and you're just struggling to keep up with what's happening. It's terrifying. I can say the first time I saw my baby it's emotional for me now. But to come into NICU and see the equipment, see all these wonderful people who are looking after my son, really gave me a great deal of confidence. And I knew that, we were kind of all in this for the long haul, right? At that stage, I was counting his life by hours. It was hour by hour because I didn't know if he was going to survive. When I kind of got a little bit more comfortable after he had been around for a little while and I was sort of counting in days, he crashed at 8 days old. I got that phone call that said, you have to come in immediately. And I found out that he had to have surgery because he had perforated his bowel. At that point, he wasn't even stable enough for them to move to an OR. So they built an operating room around him and they took out 2 sections of the small intestine. And I don't know if anybody really thought he was going to survive that day, but he did. And I think that was the day I realized my boy was a real fighter. His gut healed, so that part was good, but there were a lot of unknowns for us. And as a family, when you're in here, you don't know what the future is going to be, because obviously you had plans when you had a child, but now it could all be completely different. And I worried about stuff like, would he be in a wheelchair? We couldn't fit a wheelchair into our house at the time. Would we have to move? Like, all of these things go through your head. So if we fast forward to my position now, you can understand why I have such a passion for helping families. So because this position is funded in this hospital, I can be here to help families. I can be here to say, I know what you're going through. And I'm probably one of the few people who actually does know what families are going through, because I was there. I was feeling that panic. I was living that. And luckily, I was able to bring some veteran parent volunteers who also, prior to COVID again, were here to help families doing bedside visits, hanging out in our family zone for when families take a break so that they have someone to talk to.
All right. Well, we're continuing to hear some amazing stories of how not only, the character of who Sandra Schmerler was, but also the donations that are coming in and where they go to in helping NICU. And we're talk about social media, the reach that we're getting with social media and how people can donate online. But a big part of receiving those donations, of course, is through the phone. So joining me, we chatted last year. We're joining Jonathan Moody, my buddy, President Net2Phone Canada. We have a lot of people that are calling in, and they're calling in specifically to talk to certain people. I am not one of them. But Jonathan, I want to talk to you about how you've been helping us out here with the foundation and the telethon.
Well, thank you for having me again this year. And I'd like to say they're not looking to talk to me, but we do have a team that are very happy to obviously speak to all the donors and help make it as easy as possible to raise money for this great cause.
Jonathan, obviously, you know, we were talking earlier when we first started around noon that a lot of our friends that are calling in to donate were receiving a message, possibly, you know, having to wait a little longer online because the phones are busy. How do you manage? And can you talk about maybe numbers of what kind of call volume you see right across the country?
Yeah, it's a fun one for us because our staff members normally support companies that run our product. And so they're normally dealing with call volume in their businesses. And so to be able to get close to it for such an important cause and look at all these calls that suddenly hit. And for those that are watching TSN, and I've been involved with the event for a number of years now, to watch it go live to air, all of a sudden they say call in and you see the phones just light up. And so I know today they've been seeing, you know, upwards of 100 people on the phones all at once. And that's people waiting, that's people speaking to our volunteers, taking obviously these donations. And obviously we appreciate people waiting. We looked last year at the stats, no one waited, or I think the average was about 38 seconds to get through to somebody, even during those rushes, which as we all know in prime time on TSN, all happen at once. And so it's obviously important to get to them, help them take those donations and get everything processed as quickly as possible and get people back watching curling.
Well, I know people are ready to get back watching curling. Joan is also going to be answering phones. Did you have a question for Jonathan at all?
Well, I really appreciate what you've done for the telethon. It's not everybody that kind of steps up to do the good work. Can you tell us how it works right across the country? It's not just here in the studio that they're answering phones.
Absolutely, my pleasure. It's fun to talk about for me because it's not only what we're doing now, but it's how it worked in the past when we first got involved with Sandra Schmirler Foundation. And so if you roll back, which I think all of us wish we could remember 2 years ago, when it was a little bit of a different world, we actually sent a team. And of course, they set up for one day inside a curling rink somewhere across Canada. And I personally was involved with one in Montreal. We've had staff in St. Catharines, you know, Western Canada as well. They pack up all the equipment, show up, hook up all the phones, all the equipment, and then help volunteers who showed up at the actual arena, if you can imagine that in today's world, along with curlers who maybe were sitting and waiting for their next game. They'd come, sit, take calls as well. And we've evolved over the last 2 years, like everybody has. And so what's happened is the volunteers have become remote. And in a lot of cases, our team, our staff have actually volunteered from their homes where they're spending their days working regularly to take these calls, as well as you know, have phones with other volunteers and in the studio as well, taking those calls from all the donors.
Jonathan, can I just ask, I think, you know, we talk about technology obviously evolving all the time. How has that played a role? Because when you think of telethons, you know, you think of the big banks of the rotary phones, and that's what people are answering. But it's very different, obviously, with how it is now.
Absolutely. I mean, we're using internet-based technology, which is what we sell and deploy every day for our customers. But again, to roll back more than 8 years before we were involved, when we first talked to Curling Canada about helping out with this, it was a situation where they actually had to speak to one of the big telephone companies, have them come and install phone lines, and, you know, as you said, physical desk sets and wires run and all these pieces for one day. And so the costs were not being donated from the carriers at the times. They came in, had to have trucks and people run wires, whereas we just need to have a quality internet connection, which luckily is becoming easier and easier every year. And we can set up anyone to take calls and be involved. So we're always happy to see our technology in action. I push all of our staff to learn about it and volunteer, not only because it's a good cause, because it's great to see our service in action.
Well, I mean, I think I can speak for all of us here when I say you're certainly a part of the family here with the Sandra Schmirler Foundation. It means a lot to have your support and your help throughout this. I think just maybe we're going to wrap up a little here. I just wanted to know if you had any closing remarks or a message for those that are calling in or are wanting to call in, if there's a better time of when to call in. What kind of advice would you have?
I mean, I hope we can take care of everybody whenever they want to call in and donate. But the wait usually is a little bit better. And especially if you want to chat, and lots of people do, find out where the volunteers are based out of and why they're helping. Definitely when it's not running live to air and there hasn't been a little bit of a toll-free number up on screen and someone asking to call in, that's probably a better time to reach and have a nice conversation with somebody. To give you an idea, I mean, if I can call them out, 3 of our volunteers, Nick, Megan, and Kaylee, have all taken about or over 100 calls each at this point. And, I've chatted with people right across the country. So we appreciate the donations and enjoy giving back. So thank you to our volunteers, and obviously thank you to the donors.
And one last note I do have here, and I forgot to touch on it. I want to say a big thank you to you because I understand that following last year's telethon, you shared your experience with your head office, and they were so impressed with everything that Sandra Schmirler Foundation was given a significant contribution enough to buy a ventilator. And we all know the cost of those ventilators and what they mean for those little babies in the NICU. So again, thank you for all that you're doing today, every day, and we look forward to chatting with you again next year.
I look forward to it as well, and it's all the team. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it, and good luck with the rest of the telethon.
Thanks so much. What a great, hearing the average, I think, waiting 38 seconds, knowing that the call volume is so high and that they're able to get these calls out, I still would prefer a rotary phone.
Well, and it's kind of interesting because I do remember when they did bring in all of the phones and the lines in the first telethons. And so it's a lot easier now, and we appreciate Jonathan and Annette to phone, because it doesn't matter. You can answer phones from home, which is a huge bonus for our volunteers.
That's
right.
right.
So
So
easy to figure out, Sabine, that I could even figure it out when I was working it. So, and Net to Phone also volunteers, right? There's some
That's right.
volunteers from the company helping out answering phones today. So.
And thanks to technology, I understand we're going to be connecting with someone that you are both going to be chatting with. So, yes. Joan, I'm going to let you take it away, and I'm going to go have a coffee.
You do that, Sabine. Well, everybody's been watching the Scotties Tournament of Hearts, and the home team is from Northern Ontario. That is Krista McCarville. And the lead on that team, Sarah Potts, is very connected to the Sandra Schmirler Foundation on a number of levels. And so I believe that we have Sarah standing by. Hi, Sarah. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Thanks so much for taking the time out of your schedule. You guys started off great. 2 quick wins and just a loss earlier today. But how are things feeling out on the ice there at the Scotties?
Good. I mean, we're excited to be here. It's a little different being in this bubble, but it's going well. We had a little bit of struggle that last game, but we'll bounce back from that.
Now, Sarah, we've been waiting to talk to you because you have a personal connection with the neonatal intensive care unit in Thunder Bay. Can you tell us about your story with your twin boys?
Yeah, definitely. So just under 2 years ago, my team was actually curling at the Scotties, and I was missing out because I was pregnant with my twin boys, and they unexpectedly arrived 2 months early while the Scotties was going on. So my boys, Cohen and Leo, they were just over 3 pounds, and we spent over a month in the NICU in Thunder Bay. So it was it felt very long to be there. So we got to see it from that perspective. So it really gave us an inside view into what happens in those NICUs and just the importance of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation. And yeah, it was life-changing.
So Leo and Cohen, how are they doing now?
They're great. They're healthy. They're happy. They're crazy busy. They're they run opposite ways. It's nuts. But we're just so thankful. Like they're turning 2 in February. And yeah, we still just honestly, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about how their lives started and how thankful we are just of the care they received. The staff there were amazing. The equipment. right from the beginning, like the amount of machinery hooked up to them, and they were on the ventilators, and I just, you don't forget, that's for sure.
So a lot of the people today we're asking for donations, and Thunder Bay will receive a grant from the Sandra Schmirler Foundation for the neonatal and intensive care unit. What kinds of things do you think that they could provide there in Thunder Bay?
It's an amazing place already. The people make it amazing, of course. In a regular world, I would have loved to have brought my boys there to just let them know that we're still thinking about them and how much we appreciate them. We obviously can't just go visit with COVID, but they're just really amazing. And I just think that, it was a busy place when we were there, and we were a little bit crammed in there at times. It was busy. So I'm sure that they could obviously use the support in terms of just purchasing more equipment, maybe having a little bit more space, and just making sure that they have everything they need. It is an amazing place, and I just, they're so deserving, and all the families that are in there are just so deserving of having the best care. So I just couldn't think of a better place for the money to go, honestly.
I was thinking about how many connections that you have, Sarah, with Sandra Schmirler. You might have some memories about her, but I was also thinking about you, like Sarah England, have very famous curling parents with Rick and Lorraine Lang. So, what are your memories about Sandra?
Just watching her, like, obviously, I just remember watching her on TV and thinking that was so cool. Like, obviously, yes, my parents were curling too, but Sandra Schmirler was like the person you wanted to be when you grow up. So, it's really neat that this has become her legacy, and that now it has really come to be something that has impacted my life and that I'm so grateful for. So, it's just another way that curling kind of has intertwined with my life. And I just remember watching her and feeling inspired. And I just love even when they show the flashback videos of her making these crazy shots. And
we were just reminiscing with our net to phone donation operators, talking about in the past we would have the curlers come answer phones. Did you used to do that for the telethon?
Yeah, it was always so much fun. We did it a couple times, and I remember thinking it was funny because I remember answering the phones and saying, "So what team are you hoping for?" And getting an answer before we would tell them that we were one of the teams. And it was just fun. It was fun to see who was calling in and take the names down and all that. I wish we could be doing that, but obviously we understand we can't. But I'm just so thankful that people are still calling in and that we're doing this virtually.
Sarah, Joan alluded to it, and I'm a curling fan from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Your coach looks familiar to me when I watch your games now.
Yeah, he's familiar to a lot of people. He can't even walk through the grocery store.
Especially in Thunder Bay, right?
Yeah, that's where.
Joan was talking about it being the child of curling champions, world champions, national champions. Is it a step forward? Is it difficult to follow it, to think you're following in their footsteps?
I think when I was younger, I worried about it a little, just feeling like everyone always said, "Oh, you're going to be like your parents." And I thought, well, I hope so, because that's a lot of pressure. But now I don't really look at it like that, to be honest. Like, I want to win the Scotties. My mom won the Scotties, and I hope I do. But I don't really look at it as added pressure. I mean, they're a huge part of our team and coaching us and following us and everything. So they're kind of contributing to helping us try to do that same thing. So it's fun. It's family and curling all intertwined, for sure.
Well, it started okay. Now everybody's going to have a stumble. Joan used to tell me it's not good to go through the round robin undefeated. So you've mastered that, right? How does it look going ahead?
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, yes, we had a bit of a blip. We'll come back better. It's a long week. You're not going to, get too up or too down, right? Even after we won the first two, we're not thinking, oh, we're going to cruise here on out, and you lose one, you don't get too down. It's a long week, so we know that we've put in the work and we know what we're here to do. So we're just going to keep fighting, and we're just grateful to be here curling.
It would be nice with a crowd, though. We understand the situation. Your home rink, basically. Is it sad not having the people there?
It is a little. Of course, we pictured walking into the arena and some loud cheering, and you walk in and you can hear a pin drop. But, they set up jerseys in the stands on the seats. So, and it's still like we're at home, like we're driving down that same street to go to the club that we do every day. It's so weird. So we're still feeling it. We're getting the messages. We know people are cheering from home. So we're still getting that hometown vibe.
I know that there's a lot of people, a lot of effort that goes into keeping things safe for you and creating the bubble. How does it feel inside of that bubble?
It's safe for sure. The amount of testing, how isolated we are. Like, yes, we're at home, but we don't see anyone. Well, Ashley's kids pulled up beside the hotel to wave at her through the window, and that's about as close as it's gotten. So it's very safe here, and we just really appreciate Curling Canada puts in such hard work to make that happen. So yeah, we definitely feel safe, and we're just glad that they did all that work to make this happen.
Well, we just want to thank you so much, Sarah. I know it took you some time to get through to us, and we want to thank you for your patience and for sharing your story about using the NICU, and wish you the very best going forward. Any messages to all those out there thinking about donating?
Just what a worthy cause it is. It's really life-changing. You know, before my boys were in the NICU, I thought, oh, that's a really good cause. But then when you're there and your children's lives depend on it, and these babies, you know, born too sick or too small, they're just, you know, they just need our help. They need our support. And I just couldn't think of a better cause to donate to. And just thank you to everyone who's already donated. And please, if you're thinking about calling, please make that call.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Good luck going forward.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
You know, Daryl, we talked about curlers, hey? And about great character.
Yep.
What a tremendous character,
Really,
Sarah
yeah.
Potts.
And offspring of two of the Lorraine Lang and Rick Lang, two legends in the curling field. So Sarah's following pretty well, I think, and you're right. But being able to juggle motherhood, and we talked about that with Jan Becker earlier, right? And Marcy Gooderite, when you guys were on that One World Championship tour, that all of a sudden you're nursing and you're still mothers. You know, dads can disappear, it seems like, but mothers are there all the time, and you have to, and to think that they're able to deal with motherhood and juggling was what the great story was of Sandra's rink, your teammates, as you were marching along to all those great championships, and it's really impressive to see. And Sarah talking about the NICU unit and helping her children. It's amazing to hear those things, and it's fun to watch her. It was really nice of her to call too in between draws. Yeah, and after a loss, it's even a little bit tougher. So thank you very much, Sarah. We appreciate that. What are we tossing to? We've got off the video. Which video is it? Paige and Parker were born in Grand Falls, Newfoundland, Labrador, and had to be transported to Janeway in St. John's. This is their story.
Hi, my name is Sarah Potts. I'm a member of Team Northern Ontario at this year's Scotties Tournament of Hearts in Thunder Bay. 2 years ago, my team was playing in Moose Jaw, and I gave birth to my twin boys, Cohen and Leo. They arrived 2 months premature, so my husband Jordan and I spent several weeks with them in the NICU at the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Center. The care we received there was exceptional, and the staff there will hold a special place in our hearts. It's a Scotties tradition that the Sandra Schmirler Foundation presents a check to the local hospital to fund life-saving equipment for premature babies. I am so honored and privileged to, on behalf of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation, present this check for $35,000 to fund a new isolate.
Thank you very much to the Sandra Schmirler Foundation for your very generous donation. This $35,000 donation will go a long way to helping infants in our NICU. With this very generous donation, we will be purchasing an isolette, which is a staple piece of equipment that we use for all of our infants in the NICU to keep them safe while they grow and they mature so that they can be discharged home with their families. Thank you very, very much for your very generous donation.
Hi, I'm Robin Silvernagel. I challenge you, Canada, to donate to the Sandra Schmirler Foundation today. It's our way of keeping Sandra's memory alive by helping babies get the proper care they need when they're born too soon, too sick, or too small. Every dollar counts, and it means the world to these families going through these challenging times. So please consider donating to 1-866-210-6011 or online at sandraschmirler.org.
I didn't have a good pregnancy. At 25 weeks, 3 days, I was having contractions. Babies were so small. Paige was born first, and that it was no struggle delivering her, but Parker was a struggle to deliver because he decided to go sideways. When the practitioner nurse came in and I asked her what was the survival rate, like are they going to make it? And she told me be prepared because she don't think that they were leaving that hospital alive.
Because there were a set of prims and twins born in Grand Falls, Windsor, we required 2 teams to go take them. We had to make arrangements to have an availability of a plane.
Oh, the delay waiting for the Janeway team to come felt like forever. I think they were born at midday and they got there at midnight, maybe, something like that.
When the Janeway come out, that's the part I would never forget. I cried a lot when they came in. I could have hugged them. Like, it was almost like people that you knew all your life. Like, I just was waiting for that moment to come in.
They quickly assessed the babies and they took us aside and they assured us that they're not as bad as what we think they are.
They're going to make it to the Janeway alive. Well, they went on into St. John's. They tried to hook her up to the ventilator, and then her lungs collapsed. That was another really hard day. Parker got a tracheotomy due to, it's called a physiologic stenosis. He only had a 2-millimeter opening for an airway, so no air was going up or down. I was thinking he'd be able to leave the Janeway without the trach. He had the trach for 1.5 years.
It affected our life majorly. We had to have a worker with Parker at nighttime, so actually we could sleep 12:30 to 8:30, just sit and watch him.
Throwing the garbage! Yay!
Unbelievable. We were so happy. He took the trach out and right in the garbage. We're done with it. And he didn't look back.
We left the Janeway, and I said to the girls when we left, I said, when you see us again, that trach will be out.
Yeah, Ashley handled this amazing. She understood all the medical stuff. She was the whole family's rock the whole time.
If I didn't have him as my partner through this, I wouldn't have got through it.
Only for the Janeway, I tell you, we would not have our babies here today. Absolutely not.
Everything that they done, the way they cared for the babies, the way they cared for us.
To know that parents put that kind of confidence in us is humbling.
I'm hoping that they will go to university and become doctors themselves, and I'm hoping one day they'll probably work for the Janeway. That's my big hopes.
I feel like every single person that I introduced today has been an important part. Well, that's because they all are important parts of this telethon and the Sandra Schmirler Foundation. And joining me now is the chair of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation, Bernadette McIntyre, and the director of the Sandra Schmirler Foundation Board, Sarah Federico. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Well, we're glad to be here. I have to say that you put in a lot of work and time in this telethon, and it we've been saying that time goes by so quick. Things are moving so fast already. Before I get to today, I want to just, Bernadette, back up and talk about your history and involvement with the Sandra Schmirler Foundation.
Well, I've been involved on and off for over 20 years because, of course, I knew and know the Sandra Schmirler team and was around when Sandra got sick. And of course, the female curlers rallied and came up with this pin. And of course, Laurie Artists Limited, the pin people where Jan Betker works, they came to the table and they produced these pins and helped mail them out. And we helped answer phones and mail out pins, and it raised money right from the time Sandra was sick. And of course, it just, when unfortunately she passed away, it just became even bigger. And people like Ann Merklinger, Teresa Breen, Jan, Joan, Marcy were involved. And of course, they started what they thought was a small charity to give money to different charities. In the first couple of years, it did give money to different charities. And then they honed in on NICUs. And part of that reason was because Sandra, it was so important to her family and babies and having these 2 beautiful little girls. And then there was a niche there too, because NICUs, really, people weren't paying that much attention to it over 20 years ago. And it was such an important cause, and so the foundation has just blossomed from there, from many, many people's hard work.
Well, Bernadette, you've just touched on how things have evolved and grown and changed over the last 20-some years. Sarah, you're one of the newer board members. Where would you like to see, or where do you see the future for the foundation?
Yeah, being a newer board member, I mean, coming up on a couple of years now, I guess, the pandemic has opened up a huge opportunity for the foundation in that we've had to pivot like so many organizations and have opportunities like this where we have hybrid events. And so we've been able to expand our group that we're reaching. And, you know, generally speaking, it would have been the curling audience. And now with these virtual telethons and things like that, we're able to connect with a younger demographic. So I think for me, it would be great to see the foundation move in a direction where we're connecting with people outside of the curling world and connecting with younger people as well.
And I mean, we see that happening now with all the engagement. We see the younger couples like Holly and Lee that were in earlier, bringing in Dane. Bernadette, what can you tell donors about where their money goes?
Well, it's just amazing. And I hadn't had much experience with NICUs until I was more involved with the foundation. I've now had the opportunity to visit a number of NICUs across Canada, and they're absolutely amazing. These babies are so tiny, and they need such specialized care and such high-tech equipment. And so the funds that we raise through the telethon, through direct mail, through a number of different initiatives in the curling clubs goes to these hospitals across Canada. And as of last year, we had given to, the Sandra Schmiller Foundation had given to NICUs in every province and territory in Canada.
Wow.
We're very, very proud of it. And we've now contributed over $6 million in Sandra's name to neonatal intensive care units in this great country of ours.
Certainly something for all of those involved, including yourselves, to be so proud of. Last question, Sarah, you talked about how we've pivoted and become virtual. You know, hopefully this is the last virtual and we see an in-person somewhat type. What are you looking forward to if there is the in-person heading into Kamloops next year?
Oh my gosh, I think everybody is craving in-person events and opportunities. I think for me, if we're able to go to Kamloops next year, which I'm very, very sure that we will, I'm so looking forward to having groups of people come together to support the cause, but also have a lot of fun watching some curling. For me personally, I can't wait to answer the phones live, actually go into the NICU in the community and see where the money that we are raising is actually going to go and support. And having that live check presentation with everybody involved is going to be really incredible, especially after this 2 years of being apart. So really hoping and praying that we'll be there together, and I'm sure that we will.
There you go. I like that positive attitude, and that's what we're going to stick to. So next year, we're going to be seeing you all in person. I want to say thank you again to Bernadette and Sarah for joining us today and for all the work that they have been doing. You don't see it, but we see it here in studio behind the scenes, and it's more than just a one-day event that they're working towards. So again, thank you to them. And if you want to keep engaged with us on social media, of course, please make sure you're using the hashtag #ChampionsStartSmall and the STOH22 hashtag. We're going to head over to another video, and that's Jamie Winkler, who's flown from Regina to Toronto to give birth to her high-risk twins at Mount Sinai. Now, with a 2% chance of survival, the twins had a long journey that started in Toronto and continued at Regina Hospital's NICU. She and her husband, Sean, share their amazing story.
We love our kids, and we just love each other, and we just wanted a big family, and then we were just blessed with all these little monsters. They're just great.
We had 4, all girls. After 4, we were done. I said 4 is enough. That's a lot already.
And I went home for Easter and got really sick, and came back and found out we were pregnant.
I always made a joke, there's just one in there, right? I guess, Sean, there's just one.
We found out we were having twins.
I was like, I just started laughing. Jamie's like, no. I'm like, So.
And they were little, but there was no issue with them. It was all with me. So, thought, okay, let's do this. At 25 weeks, we discovered that we had stage 4 twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome.
So basically Bella was starving and Mila was basically getting overfed.
And I was dying because my body was basically doing everything it could to take care of them.
Within an hour and a half of finding out, a phone call from Dr. Ryan in Toronto saying, I need you tomorrow. I said, well, I was thinking about flying out Monday or Tuesday, and he just bluntly said, if you're planning that, don't bother coming because your twins will be dead and your wife won't be too far behind. When the surgery was done, or the procedure was done in Toronto, I flew home on Tuesday and Jamie came home that Friday. And then that Saturday morning was when she went into labor.
They had less than a 2% chance to survive. Samila was born and off she went, and she was so tiny. She was so tiny, she was smaller than a can of Coke. But she was crying. So that was a chance. And then my Bella was born. And my Bella was born in her sack, in her little cull. And this tiny little itty, tiny, the tiniest thing I've ever heard in my life started crying. And they grabbed her and took her and off they went.
You feel helpless because you can't, but you see them fighting and struggling. So you know they've got it in them, but you can't help them. So they're just helpless, you're just.
Off the babies went to NICU.
Oh, that was incredible to touch them, and then the flood of emotions was tenfold compared to with the previous 4 when they came out right away and I could touch them and hold them. This one was different because expecting to lay them to rest shortly after they were born to now being able to touch them and to see them change, that was incredible to touch them. And then the first time to hold them, I probably cried for the half hour, just tears, because it was awesome to hold her right on my chest, and she snuggled right in, like she was supposed to be there.
They're the strongest, most delicate people in the world, the people that work in NICU. Our team was amazing. They were fast, they were compassionate, they were considerate, and they knew everything they needed to know, and they were honest with us. Each baby has their own team, and they had a plan. This is what we're gonna do, this is what they have, this is what we need to do, this is what needs to be done. I was just grateful to still have my children and to have the chance at another moment. And I never thought we'd leave the NICU with the kids.
Now that it affects me, you see how critical and how important the equipment and the services are.
Their level of care is amazing, and they ensured that our kids never fell behind. But without all of that available, the specifics available, my children would have never survived. And those are just my kids.
It's unbelievable, because I can't imagine what would have happened if it wasn't for the care and the services that are here. I don't know if we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be talking about this, because I don't think that they would be here.
Come on, let's walk in. To think that I would get up in the morning and have those 2 little monkeys running around, I can't imagine what life would have been like without them. And because of their phenomenal care, I get to enjoy this every day.
They go, they're busy, they are go, go, go. The way they're progressing now, and I see them just being regular kids.
Because of the amazing care we've received over the past 2.5 years, we have these amazing, beautiful, strong little girls who have overcome everything they were never supposed to. Every single person has contributed. Your 5 cents, your $50, your $300, your $1,000, it doesn't even matter. The moment that you donated, you contributed to saving our lives. You contributed to saving so many other lives. I'm eternally grateful.
Thank you. That's all I can say is thank you. Because if it wasn't for your contributions and your donations, I wouldn't have those two crazy little hellions, little girls, little angels that you walk in the door and you hear that, "Hi, Daddy. Daddy's home." And love you, Daddy.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Just more incredible stories that we continue to hear about the NICU and the Sandra Schmirler Foundation's help towards them.
Amazing, hey? It's been quite a day, an emotional day. We talked curling a little bit. The shot that keeps coming up, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, and the most memorable shot in curling history almost, it seems to become, in November '97, in Brandon, curling trials, Olympic curling trials. Sandra's rink was, one down in the 7th, and Joan just told me she was ready to concede a single, steal that, and Sandra said, "No, I think we can get 3. The in-off shot. It's going to be our highlight. We've got a package of it now to start a whole bunch of videos."
There's absolutely no room for error here.
No, she has to hit a quarter of it. She hits a half of it, she's going to come over the face of the front one in the forefoot. She hits it too thin, she's going to hit the back one.
No. Close. Close. Whoa. Whoa. Close. Whoa. Whoa. No. Close. Yes! Whoa.
What a shot!
All right.
What a great shot!
Okay, let's hang in there.
That is an Olympic curling shot.
Okay, let's hang in there. Good shot. Okay, you guys. Have a seat.
Boy, oh boy. What relief on the face of Sandra Schmirler.
Back on. Okay, let's get back to the
Great
plane.
throw by Jan
Are you
Bedker.
gonna
Great
puke?
throw by Sandra Schmirler. Look at the result.
Okay, take a deep breath.
Right on the nose.
I can some water.
It doesn't get any better than
You know
that.
what? I visualize it. I saw it. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go.
That may be the shot of the week at these Olympic trials in Brandon.
Okay, let's calm down, you guys. We're back in this thing, okay? We're in the driver's seat now.
After 7,
Good shot.
leads by 2.
I saw it too, man. I saw it.
Sylvia was only 29 weeks pregnant when she went into labor. I remember being so nervous, so unsure what might or might not happen. She already delivered Estany, but unfortunately, Aria wasn't too easy. An emergency C-section, they said, would save our unborn child. Aria was born without vitals. Those were the scariest seconds of my life. When your children are having complications, time is everything. I kept thinking this is why we chose Humber. This is what they do best. Aria stayed in the NICU for 2 months after she was born, and Estany for 3, as she fought meningitis twice. I wasn't scared though. I always knew they were in good hands.
Hi, I'm Ben Hebert, lead for Team Kevin Cooey. Sandra Schmirler was always a hero of mine growing up in Regina. Watched her win the '98 Winter Olympics. I remember going to the airport as a young kid, cheering on her and her team, and she was always one of my favorites growing up. Today is Sandra Schmirler Day at the Scotties. Please, if you have the means, donate to sandraschmirler.org. Team Cooey is going to be donating. I hope everybody else can too. Hope everybody enjoys the Scotties. Johnny?
And my name's Johnny Moe from Team Cooey. I just wanted to quickly share my favorite Sandra Schmirler memory. I remember playing in the 1998 Canadian Juniors right here in Calgary, Alberta, and Sandra Schmirler was there after she had just won the Olympics and was commentating our game, and I felt like we were on cloud 9, and she really inspired me and my teammates to get to those Olympics one day. So thanks for everything she's done, and if you can, please donate, sandraschmirler.org. Thank you guys.
Hope everybody's doing okay out there.
I'm fine. Just crying behind the scenes. It's fine. We're tight for time. So, Joan, you wanted to talk about, it's not just women supporting women here.
That's right. You know, as much as we want to shine a light on women's curling, which is what the Scotties Tournament of Hearts is, and all of those females that we talked about being part of the Schmirler Foundation, you just saw John Morrison and Ben Hebert. They're part of Kevin Cooey's team. The Grand Slam of curling does crowd sweeps, and they give that money to the telethon. There's many men's teams that are behind us as well, Sabine. So I just really wanted to say hi to them and for helping us out over the years as well.
Daryl, you probably
and
hear that too.
Brad Gushu in his rink answering phones tonight, part of the phone bank. Impressive, as Joan said. It's a huge fraternity, a huge group. The curlers, it's amazing. And you know, when you get mixed doubles now, you get mixed singles. It's amazing. It's a real huge family. And every time I get to be a part of this, that's what I feel like I'm a part of.
It is. It's wonderful to be here. You're feeling such amazing, uplifting stories. We're going to be heading into the evening draw. I know we have about 30 seconds left. Is there a match or draw that you're looking forward to before we get to a total?
I'm watching all of the curling. In fact, and I'm watching that total, and I hope we have it coming up here. I want to know how much we've raised so far and whether we're going to get close with just a few hours to go.
Here we go. We're ready for a total. So I think oh gosh, I'm nervous already.
Oh, right. 473. That's pretty good.
That's not too bad. I know our goal is 750. We're pretty close, Daryl.
We're on the way. It was 700,000 last year, and we're close to that pace, from what I understand. So that's great. The numbers keep showing up. I've got it memorized. So
what's the number?
I'm about to call 1-866-210-6011.
He does have it memorized. Look at that. There's the number that you can call while you're, in between, grabbing a snack or whatever it may be while you're tuning into the evening draws. We will be back one final time around 9 o'clock this evening. Any last messages before we take our little break?
I might go answer the phones again. Does that help?
There
I'm no
you go.
Brad Gushu, but what the heck? I can still
but
answer
you
phones.
are our Daryl, and I would want to talk to you on the phone.
Thanks.
Joan?
Yeah, I'm going to answer a few phones too. I love chatting with people. I like them to share their stories of why they're donating.
There you go. Beautiful stories that we're going to continue to share throughout this evening. Again, you see the number on the screen, 1-866-210-6011, or of course you can head online at sandraschmirler.org to donate online. We will be back. That's it for us for now, but we'll be back around 9 o'clock. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you soon.